Picture this, a high-tech robotics firm, literally on the brink of collapse, losing millions of dollars with every passing day. And their last hope? It turns out to be a teenage boy who polishes shoes on the street outside. Today, we're diving deep into the incredible story of the shoe polish prodigy to figure out what it can teach us about hidden genius and about seeing the world in a completely different way. And this is the moment everything changes. You have a room packed with the world's best engineers. All of them just paralyzed, staring at spreadsheets and diagnostics. And then this kid makes an offer that sounds completely absurd. The real question here isn't just who is this boy? It's what in the world does he see that they don't? That's the mystery we're unpacking. And the reaction? Oh, it is exactly what you'd expect. The engineers, they just look at the source, a kid who shines shoes, and they immediately write him off. They're looking at his torn clothes, not the look in his eyes. But here's the thing. The boy's confidence isn't really in himself. It's in the machine. He knows it's trying to tell them something, and he's the only one who's actually listening. Okay, so to really get just how brilliant this kid is, you first have to understand the sheer scale of the disaster he was walking into. This wasn't just some little technical glitch. This was a full-blown crisis that had brought one of India's top robotics firms, Aryavart Robotics, to its knees. Think about that number for a second. 20 crore rupees. That's over $2 million. Just gone. Poof. In only 10 days. And this just shows you a huge vulnerability in our modern automated world. The cost of downtime isn't just about the money. With every second that machine stayed silent, the company's hard-earned reputation as a global leader was just eroding away. Now, when you look at this timeline, you start to see a really big problem in their whole approach. Notice the pattern? They kept throwing more experts, more software, more complexity at the problem. They were just adding layer after layer of analysis, assuming the problem had to be some super deep technical thing. But from 10 straight days, that machine's warning light just stayed on, basically screaming that their whole assumption was wrong. And this quote from the founder, Vedant Malhotra, man, you can just feel the desperation. This isn't just a boss who's mad about losing money. This is the voice of a leader watching his entire life's work, his company's whole identity get defined by this one single, impossible failure. The pressure he's feeling is existential. So while all this chaos and panic is escalating inside the fancy glass building, the real solution, well, he's sitting right outside on the pavement, quietly watching everything. And that brings us to the most important character in this whole story, the boy on the footpath. And this slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? The contrast is just incredible. On one side, you've got Aryavart Robotics, this whole world of data, prestige, and what everyone thinks is expertise. And on the other side, you've got Rahul, a world of simple observation and pure intuition. The real genius wasn't in the clean room with the fancy computers. It was out there on the dusty sidewalk, just watching and listening. And this is the moment of pure genius. You see, what Rahul says here isn't some lucky guess. He is completely reframing the problem. While all the experts were digging into the most complex systems, he pinpointed the simple, overlooked backup unit. It just goes to show you, sometimes the most complex problems have the simplest solutions, hidden right in plain sight. Now, you're probably thinking, how on earth does a 15-year-old kid know this stuff? It seems impossible, right? Well, it is, until you find out where that knowledge actually came from. It wasn't from a school or a textbook. It all came from his grandfather. It all comes down to this one single piece of wisdom. This is the key to the entire story. His grandfather, who used to be a senior engineer at that very same company, taught him that machines, well, they speak. While all the other engineers were trying to read the machine's code, Rahul was listening to its voice, the subtle hums, the clicks, the vibrations that were telling the real story. He was fluent in a language the experts didn't even know existed. And that's what pushed him to keep trying, even when everyone was laughing at him. You have to understand, this wasn't about showing off. For him, this was about survival. It was about legacy. He desperately needed money for his sick mother's medicine, sure, but he also needed to prove that his grandfather's wisdom was real. Those personal stakes gave him the courage to stand up to a room full of people who had already written him off. So for days, he's been trying to get someone, anyone, to listen to him. Every door was slammed in his face. But now, with every other option completely exhausted, their desperation finally gives him an opening. And this brings us to the moment of truth, the 10-minute fix. This is where the founder, Vedant Malhotra, makes a huge call, a complete leap of faith. His entire team of world-class experts has failed him, so he decides to go against all logic, all protocol. He chooses to trust the outlier, the anomaly, the boy from the street. It is a final, desperate gamble, choosing intuition over data. So Rahul walks in, and he doesn't even grab a wrench or a screwdriver. He just stands there, and he listens. And what he says next is an absolute bombshell that turns the whole investigation on its head. This wasn't a malfunction. It was intentional. It was sabotage. The engineers had been hunting for a ghost in the machine's code when the real problem was physical and deliberate. I mean, look at this. It's so simple, it's brilliant. While the experts were lost in complex software, Rahul found 3 simple physical acts of sabotage: a loose screw, a valve that was turned halfway, some crossed wires. His genius wasn't in knowing more than them. It was in observing more and assuming less. And then, click, the moment of truth. With a single press of a button, the angry red light of failure blinks off, and the calm, steady green light of success comes on. The sound of that massive Hydrolink H900 roaring back to life is more than just a machine working. It's the sound of the impossible becoming real. And the only thing louder in that room is the stunned silence of all the experts. So the machine is humming again, problem solved, right? Well, not quite, because fixing that machine just unlocked a much, much bigger mystery. The events that followed showed that this day was never really about fixing a robot. It was about reconnecting a family. You can just imagine Vedant Malhotra, the founder, his voice shaking, not from anger or stress anymore, but from pure, absolute awe. And he asks the question that has now completely changed in meaning. It's no longer a dismissal. It's a desperate need to understand. Who are you? Rahul's answer is simple. He just tells him his name. But when he mentions his mother's name, Nandini Sharma, everything stops. For Vedant, it's a name from a past he thought was long buried. It triggers a 15-year-old memory and a question he just has to ask. And this is the twist that no one saw coming. A quick DNA test confirms the unbelievable. The boy from the footpath who just saved his company was his own son, a son Vedant Malhotra never even knew he had. So you see, in the end, this story wasn't really about a broken machine at all. It was about a broken family, one that had been fractured by years of silence and misunderstanding, and was finally given a chance to start over. And this really gets to the heart of the whole story, doesn't it? Think about it. Every single hardship Rahul went through, the poverty, the separation from his father, all of it was the very thing that put him on that specific footpath at that exact moment with the unique skills needed to save not just a company, but his own future. The cracks in his life were what let the light in. What a story, right? It's just this incredible reminder that genius doesn't always wear a lab coat or come with a fancy degree. Potential is absolutely everywhere, often hidden right there in plain sight. And that really leaves us with one last crucial question to ask ourselves. On some footpath in our own lives, another Rahul is out there waiting for a chance. Are we paying enough attention?